Welcome back to Radio Entrepreneurs. My name is Jeffrey Davis. I'm the host of Radio Entrepreneurs and also chairman of the board, founder of Mage LLC, management consulting firm since 1985 in the Boston area. Worked with over 700 leaders of organizations managing change. What a time for change, a world of chaos. And with that in mind, we have two more entrepreneurs this morning, Jon Swanson and Siddharth Pannir. I hope I got that right. Co-founders at GenH. That was the easiest of the three names. Welcome, gentlemen. You get my cognitive limitations.
Thank you for having us.
Tell me about GenH.
So GenH is a renewable energy technology design company, and we are working on a few different technologies, but the one that is farthest along to the road to completion is our modular hydropower system. And it is designed to electrify non-powered dams and canal heads without, the need for construction, which often goes with a lot of hydroelectric power projects, without the need for any investment in funding this project for 12 long years or 7 years, and the ability to move it when the water resource shifts, which is the most important of all. As we see a climate that changes and is more volatile, you will need a resource power extraction technology that also moves with the resource. And that is a place where fossil fuels have an advantage, where they can store the energy and move that set of energy to another location and extract it at the different location. That is mismatched in renewable energies, and that is the problem we're solving.
Geez, how did you get into all of this?
Personally, well, when I was born, no. My dad worked in the oil industry, so I was always intrigued by what energy was. And then I grew up reading a lot of Asimov and would read about these fantastical structures growing up. Long story short, did my bachelor's in mechanical engineering, discovered thermodynamics, which was fun, and then did my master's in energy system, which was when I met my other co-founder, Rob, who's not on this call, but we were discussing the economics of renewables and why they were not ever competitive with fossil fuels without, massive subsidies. And that's how we got into it. We looked at every reason from every angle, and the reasons are purely economic. They just can't match up.
So since you're sounding like you have a competitive advantage, what are you replacing that's currently out there?
Well, the best way to look at the entire energy system would be to look at the fuel source that has the biggest advantage and that has the most market share, and that is natural gas. So we have, with our technology, tried to replicate some of the properties of natural gas, which is its mobility, its ability to produce power close to urban load centers without the need for transmission. In doing so, we essentially outcurve the other hydropower competitors that we have. And I'm doing air quotes here because really the real competition is natural gas if you want to solve the bigger problem at hand, which is getting rid of fossil fuels.
Well, we assume that that's the long-term goal. It
Yeah.
seems like getting to goals seems to be very difficult. Are you currently in a position where you're generating revenue, or are you pre-revenue?
We are pre-revenue. We have a pilot going on in Framingham. We have filed permitting and documentation for dams in New Hampshire and are looking for options in New York State as well as Rhode Island. Maybe Maine, we'll see. Depends on how fast the government up there works, but yeah.
So who's funding this business?
So far, most of our funding has come from friends and family, as well as the state of California, who has granted us the Cal Seed grants. We are, and to that end, we are looking to do our first commercial projects in California on the canal dams there, which are about 6 to about 25 feet tall, controlled water coming in from the Colorado River. Outside of that, we have been funded by Northeastern University, and we received a grant from the state of Massachusetts as well. And outside of that, I think that's about it. John, did I miss anything?
No, that covers it. The one in, hopefully from state of Massachusetts, spoken to Nathan about it. We should have be able to make an official announcement on that as soon as the paperwork goes through. So that's pretty exciting. And we feel that'll launch us into more opportunities for funding here locally, because we are based here in Boston.
So how do you see this ramping up? Is it a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 year basis?
What do you mean by ramp up? Ramp up.
Until you're sort of self-sufficient in the market?
Well, I can't give you a timeline. I can tell you that we have a critical mass point, which we know we will reach. The problem is how many resources we expend and how efficiently we expend them to reach that point. And that is a question of how much funding we raise, how many engineers we hire. And assuming everything goes well, we could even reach that critical mass in the next 2 years. If we don't get any funding for forever, that'll be a different story, right? So it's dependent on other variables.
Is this all private, or is there a public element to this as well?
Public element.
Like is this? Do you work with both private industry and government? How does it work?
So a lot of the dams in this country and in Europe and Asia as well, a lot of these are owned by state governments. A lot of them come under almost all of them come under the purview of FERC, unless it's privately owned. And there's very few privately owned dams from what I can, from our initial market research. So we work with the irrigation districts that own these canal heads, or we work with the state organizations such as MWRA or the Mass DCR that owns these dams and is in charge of maintaining them. In New Hampshire, it's the NHDES who we are talking to permit one of their dams on Squam Lake. So it's mostly government organizations, municipalities. There are private organizations and owners thrown in there, but they're rather, a majority of them are public.
Jon and Siddharth, if someone were looking for you at GenH and wanted to learn more about what you're doing, how would they find you?
Well, I think we've got a pretty exciting website, which we've done a lot of work on. I think that explains, kind of soup to nuts what we're all about. They could always give us a call. We'd be happy to talk to them about it. And then we are starting to get exposure through programs like this. And then we've just recently won an Edison Award. So we're going to be down in Florida in April, the Cal Seed grants, which we've discussed. And so
we're also got funded by NSF. Sorry to interrupt you. Yeah. I just remembered that.
So I think we're doing a pretty good job of our own grassroots. We've been in touch with people from the BBJ, hopefully to get some articles there. Janet Wu is a personal friend over at Bloomberg, hoping to get some time with her. So I think we've got, pretty good approach, and I think we've got a lot of opportunities for us to get the word out there. But of course, we're relying on you guys to help us in that effort.
Well, we look forward to doing that. It sounds pretty exciting. We hope that as you go through your path of integrating into the marketplace, that you'll come back and give us some updates so that we can keep our people informed on your progress as entrepreneurs as well.
Definitely.
It would be our pleasure. We look forward to it.
Thank you very much. And remind everybody, this is Radio Entrepreneurs.